There's a funny myth floating around out there. The idea that the moment a man hits a certain age, younger women just magically start lining up like it's a grand opening sale. Meanwhile, in the real world, half of those men are out here wondering why their distinguished maturity is getting absolutely no traction. And the answer is simple. Age doesn't impress anyone. Presence does. Most guys walk into age gap dating like they're applying for a job they already think they qualify for. Meanwhile, their energy says something completely different. Their confidence is jittery, their composure is borrowed, and their personality is trying to cosplay as a 22-year-old with a Wi-Fi addiction. Younger women notice all of this instantly and politely exit the chat. Because here's the part nobody wants to admit. Younger women don't care about your age. They care about the contrast, the difference between their fast, chaotic world and a man who actually knows who he is. The difference between their uncertainty and your calm direction. The difference between their inconsistent dating pool and someone whose sense of self doesn't collapse every time they don't get a text back in 5 minutes. So if you want to attract younger adult women, the strategy has nothing to do with chasing youth, and everything to do with being the man whose energy feels like clarity in a world full of noise. There's a reason younger adult women gravitate towards certain older men, and no, it's not because he sprinkled maturity seasoning on himself that morning. It's because emotional stability hits differently when you're living in a dating landscape where half the guys panic if you don't reply within an hour. Younger women aren't chasing age, they're chasing relief. Relief from inconsistency, mixed signals, and men whose emotions are running the show like they're on an unpaid internship. Emotional stability feels like a premium upgrade in modern dating. When a guy walks in with grounded energy, calm decision-making, and zero need to perform, the contrast is instantly noticeable. It's like walking from a noisy street into a quiet room. Your nervous system relaxes before your brain even catches up. That's the effect a composed older man can have when he's truly centered. And yes, emphasis on truly. Pretending to be calm while your anxiety is backstage, doing jumping jacks doesn't count. A lot of men misunderstand what attraction looks like here. They think younger women want money, status, or some kind of grand provider aura. Meanwhile, the thing that actually stands out is competence. Not flexing, not bragging, competence. The ability to handle life without turning everything into a dramatic episode. Younger women aren't impressed by a man who talks big. They're impressed by a man whose actions look effortless because he's not performing for approval. It also comes down to energy calibration. Younger women live in a world of overthinking, dating confusion, and emotional turbulence. When an older man shows up with emotional certainty, a stable direction in life, and the ability to stay calm under pressure, it creates a sharp contrast that feels refreshing instead of overwhelming. But here's where the irony kicks in. The men who actually get their attention aren't the ones trying to be young. They're the ones confidently being exactly who they are. The confidence problem. There's a specific type of chaos that happens when a man tries to impress a younger woman by pretending he's still living in the same decade she is. Suddenly, his entire personality becomes a performance piece. His jokes shift, his posture changes, his vocabulary randomly updates like he's downloading a software patch he didn't read the terms for. And the funniest part? Younger women catch it immediately. Men think they're being subtle. Meanwhile, her internal commentary is basically, why is his confidence wobbling like it's on unstable Wi-Fi? Trying to appear young doesn't make you seem youthful. It makes you look like you're negotiating your identity with a committee. And nothing drains attraction faster than a man who can't sit comfortably in himself. Younger women aren't looking for an age-matched personality. They're looking for someone who isn't tangled up in insecurity. When an older man starts overcompensating, the entire vibe shifts from attractive to awkwardly competitive. It's like watching someone fight gravity using enthusiasm alone. This is where authenticity becomes non-negotiable. A man who's genuinely confident moves slower, speaks with intention, doesn't rush to fill silence because he isn't terrified of what she might be thinking. His body language is steady, not hyperactive. He doesn't need approval. He creates comfort. And comfort, for younger women, registers as confidence. It's the psychological equivalent of a deep breath after dealing with guys whose emotions keep hijacking the steering wheel. The mistake most older men make is assuming they need to match her energy. They don't. They need to stabilize it. Younger women aren't attracted to you because you're trying to be like them. They're attracted because you're not. That contrast only works if your own center of gravity is solid. When you're grounded, she relaxes. When you overperform, she distances. When your confidence is real, everything becomes effortless. So the goal isn't to appear young, it's to appear self-contained. That's what actually sets you apart. Not the act, not the adjustments, not the pretending. Just you being the man whose confidence doesn't clock out the moment she walks into the room. Emotional maturity as an advantage. If you know how to use it. A lot of men assume that emotional maturity automatically makes them more attractive to younger women, like it's some kind of built-in upgrade package that comes with age. But maturity doesn't work like a warranty. It only matters if you actually use it. Because while emotional maturity can be a strength, it can also turn into a liability the moment it slips into lecturing, controlling behavior, or outdated approaches that feel more parental than partner-like. What younger adult women respond to isn't age, it's emotional regulation. The ability to stay composed when things get tense. The habit of listening without treating every disagreement like a legal debate. The calmness to handle conflict without sending your ego out to defend your reputation like it's guarding a national treasure. Emotional maturity creates psychological safety. And safety, for younger women living in a dating world full of inconsistent behavior, is a powerful attractor. The real advantage older men have is perspective. They've lived enough life to understand that not every emotion deserves a reaction, not every silence needs a rescue mission, and not every misunderstanding is a threat. When a man carries that kind of presence, younger women feel it immediately. His consistency lowers her nervous system activity without him saying a word. His steadiness becomes grounding rather than suffocating. But this is where many men unintentionally sabotage themselves. They confuse maturity with dominance. They treat their experience like a weapon instead of a resource. Suddenly, every conversation turns into a lecture. Every disagreement becomes teaching a lesson, and every plan must follow their blueprint because they know better. That's not emotional maturity. That's insecurity wearing a disguise. Stoic principles are extremely effective here when used correctly. Not the exaggerated, emotionally frozen version some men adopt, but the real version. Discipline over impulses, clarity over chaos, and responsibility over excuses. When an older man practices actual stoicism, regulating emotions rather than suppressing them, his presence feels calmer, sharper, and more intentional. Younger women notice the difference instantly. Used well, emotional maturity makes you a steady anchor in her fast-moving world. Used poorly, it turns you into the guy who drains the joy out of every situation. The choice between those two outcomes comes down to whether your maturity is genuine or just something you talk about. What you bring versus what she brings. Age gap dynamics fall apart when a man assumes he's the only prize in the room. Some older men walk into these situations acting like they're granting a scholarship, not building a connection. They overestimate what they offer and underestimate what a younger woman brings to the table. And that imbalance silently ruins everything. The truth is simple. Younger adult women aren't looking for a mentor, a manager, or a walking resume. They're looking for a complementary energy, something that fits with theirs, not something that overshadows it. Your strengths, when used correctly, create balance. Experience means you've built emotional resilience. Stability means you make decisions based on clarity, not panic. Direction means you're not drifting around waiting for life to decide for you. These traits are genuinely attractive because they provide something her own dating pool often lacks, but they only work when they're not used as leverage. The moment you treat your value like a bargaining chip, you stop being attractive and start being transactional. Younger women, on the other hand, bring qualities many older men forget to acknowledge: curiosity, lightness, fresh perspectives, a sense of discovery that makes your life feel less rigid and more alive. They offer emotional warmth and spontaneity that pull you out of autopilot. There's movement in their energy, and that movement becomes the perfect counterbalance to your grounded nature. Both sides bring something meaningful, which is why healthy age gap relationships feel dynamic instead of lopsided. The problem is when men misinterpret this dynamic and start acting entitled to her time, her attention, or her emotional labor just because they assume they're more experienced. Experience is only attractive when it improves the relationship, not when it becomes a rulebook she's forced to follow. Younger women respond best when they feel respected, not supervised, when they feel seen, not analyzed, when they feel like a partner, not a project. The most attractive men in age gap dating understand this simple truth. You're not there to lead her life. You're there to complement it. Your value matters, but so does hers. And when you treat the connection as a balanced exchange rather than a one-sided privilege, that's when attraction deepens instead of fading. The green flags. You need to display attraction with younger adult women isn't built on dramatic gestures or over-the-top performances. It's built on signals, quiet ones, steady ones. Signals that show who you are without announcing it, like a man trying to advertise himself on a billboard. The most attractive qualities you can display aren't loud, they're consistent. And consistency is something younger women rarely see, which is exactly why it stands out so sharply. Calm independence is one of those signals. Not the exaggerated, I don't need anyone version. Just the simple, grounded habit of living your life with purpose instead of desperation. When a man's world doesn't revolve around her attention, she feels drawn to him, not dismissed. Independence reads as confidence. Dependence reads as instability. Younger women feel the difference instantly, even before their brain registers it. Another quiet signal is clarity. Not the kind where you deliver inspirational speeches about your 5-year plan, but the kind where your actions already reflect it. Men with direction move differently. They make decisions without spiraling, communicate without sugarcoating, and handle setbacks without turning everything into a personal tragedy. That level of stability is magnetic because it shows her she won't be emotionally babysitting a grown man. Playfulness matters too, but not the type that tries to mimic youthful chaos. Playfulness is the ability to bring lightness without losing composure. It's the balance between seriousness and humor. Younger women gravitate toward older men who can create moments of ease without slipping into immaturity. Playfulness shows emotional flexibility, a rare and appealing trait. And then there's the strongest green flag of all, boundaries. Not the harsh, defensive kind, the healthy ones, the kind where you protect your time, your peace, and your standards without apologizing. Boundaries make you look composed, not controlling. They create structure instead of tension. A man with boundaries becomes someone she can trust because he's already proven he can regulate himself. These green flags don't need to be performed or exaggerated. They just need to show up consistently in how you move through the world. Younger women pick up on subtle patterns faster than most men realize. And when your patterns speak for you, attraction becomes effortless instead of engineered. The red flags that make younger women run. Men often assume younger women are intimidated by maturity. Not quite. They're intimidated by men who misuse maturity or pretend to have it while their emotional habits tell a completely different story. And nothing sends a younger woman sprinting out of a connection faster than behavior that feels heavy, insecure, or suffocating. These red flags don't always show up loudly, but they're unmistakable once they appear. One of the biggest deal breakers is acting threatened by her social life. When an older man becomes weirdly competitive with people her age, friends, co-workers, or male peers, it immediately exposes insecurity. Younger women aren't impressed when a man treats her attention like a scarce resource he has to defend. It doesn't make him look mature, it makes him look like he's operating from fear. Attraction evaporates the moment he treats her independence as a threat instead of a normal part of her life. Jealousy, wrapped in sophistication, is another silent repellent. Some men hide their insecurity behind long speeches about respect or values, when really they're just struggling to manage their emotions. Younger women can feel when control is being disguised as wisdom. Stoicism isn't about suppressing emotion, it's about mastering it. When a man uses standards as a way to mask possessiveness, she notices immediately. Then comes the classic mistake, turning every moment into a lecture. Some older men adopt the tone of a disappointed uncle the minute there's a disagreement. They confuse guidance with dominance. They talk at her, not with her. Younger women don't want a supervisor. They don't want a professor. They want a partner who respects their perspective enough to hear it without launching into monologues. A major red flag is relying on money, status, or age as a shortcut to connection. When a man leans on external things to hold her interest, it communicates something he didn't intend. He doesn't believe he's enough on his own. Attraction built on performance collapses the moment she realizes there's no substance beneath the surface. And finally, emotional rigidity. Some men mistake being stoic for shutting down entirely. They become so guarded that there's no warmth, no presence, no adaptability. Stoicism without humanity isn't attractive. It's exhausting. These patterns push younger women away fast because they reveal something deeper: instability, insecurity, or emotional inflexibility. And no matter how old a man is, those traits never look mature. A lot of men walk into age gap dating with the same misplaced confidence as someone who thinks owning a gym membership means they're automatically in shape. Age by itself doesn't do anything. It doesn't guarantee maturity, confidence, calmness, or emotional intelligence. Younger adult women aren't drawn to a number. They're drawn to the traits men are supposed to develop over time, traits many never actually build. What actually attracts younger women is the version of you that's been shaped by experience, not the version clinging to youth. The man who can stay solid when things get complicated. The man who doesn't spiral the second there's uncertainty. The man whose identity doesn't wobble because someone didn't text him back immediately. That's the version that stands out, not the guy trying to dress, act, or think like he's still in his early 20s. Men who rely on age alone always end up confused when the younger woman loses interest. They assume she just wanted someone older, when in reality, she wanted someone developed. Someone who's done the self-work. Someone who doesn't fall apart the moment life demands emotional discipline. Age without character is just a number she forgets as soon as you start talking. Younger women are drawn to emotional clarity. A man who understands himself well enough not to treat every situation like a test of masculinity. They're drawn to steadiness. A man whose presence doesn't create tension, but dissolves it. They're drawn to authenticity. A man who isn't performing maturity, but actually living it. And they're drawn to men who carry themselves with purpose, not desperation. This is the part many men don't want to hear. You don't attract younger women by trying to be younger. You attract them by being complete. And the men who understand this always outperform the ones who think age alone puts them ahead. Attracting younger adult women has nothing to do with chasing youth and everything to do with sharpening who you already are. The men who stand out aren't the ones rehearsing confidence. They're the ones living it. Emotional stability, genuine presence, grounded direction, and a balanced energy exchange are what actually make you magnetic. Not flexing, not performing, not pretending. If you want these dynamics to work, focus on becoming the man whose character holds up under pressure. The man who brings clarity into a world full of noise. The man who's whole, not half-built. Share your experiences in the comments. I read them and I respond because these conversations matter. And make sure you like, share, and most importantly subscribe so you never miss the next breakdown on male psychology and modern dating.